2010, 2012, 2014, hell, even 2016. The Giants may have never been a dominant team in their dynasty of the 2010s, but they found a way to win. 2010. Their offense wasn't great, only 9th in the NL in runs, but their .336 team ERA was a league best. 2012. They didn't excel in either, but they were in the top half in runs and ERA, and used a .288 ERA in the playoffs to win 2 winner-take-all games and sweep the World Series. 2014. They were only the second wildcard, 5th in runs, 7th in ERA, but when you get 52 2/3 innings out of Madison Bumgarner, and he only gives up 6 runs, good for a 1.03 ERA, what else do you need? Following a heartbreaking loss of the Cubs in the 2016 NLDS, the Giants fell off a cliff. It's not like they lost any significant pieces. Jake Peavy retired, but he wasn't all that great for them in 2016 anyway. Their team ERA jumped nearly a run between 2016 and 2017, from .365 to .450. Everyone's ERA was way up, especially Johnny Cueto's, jumping up nearly 2 runs, and Bumgarner only gave them half a season. Their offense really tanked, scoring nearly half a run less per game, and dropping to second to last in the National League in runs. From the playoffs in 2016 to 98 losses in 2017, the team never went into a rebuild. They kept their core intact, and they added valuable veteran pieces like Derek Holland, Evan Longoria, and Andrew McCutchen going into 2018. They still finished second to last in runs scored, but improved their record to 73 and 89. In 2019, they were floundering. By the end of June, they were 12 games under 500, but right before the trade deadline, they went on a 17-3 run, getting 2 games over 500, causing them to keep Madison Bumgarner rather than trade him, trying to make a run at that wild card. It didn't work out. They finished the last 2 months 22-32, 77 and 85 overall, and they missed the playoffs for the 3rd straight year. To make things worse, Bumgarner wound up signing with the Diamondbacks. Bruce Bochy had led the Giants for 13 years, through all 3 of their titles, and he was ready to retire. Enter Gabe Kapler, a guy who flamed out quickly in Philadelphia after just 2 seasons, despite finishing right around 500 both years. Both of those Phillies teams had been in contention, but collapsed down the stretch, and ownership saw their young talent regressing under Kapler. This was a problem. The Phillies were the youngest team in baseball in 2019, but the Giants were a different kind of team. They had a veteran core, and they had the 3rd oldest roster in 2019. 2020 was a short year, and maybe it's unfair to read too much into the stats, but their offense came to life. A year prior, they only had 2 starters with an OPS plus above league average, and that was Mike Yastrzemski and Evan Longoria. In 2020, all their starters hit above league average, except for Longoria. He was close with an OPS plus of 96, as well as Joey Bart, a young prospect who was only playing full-time because Buster Posey opted out for the season. Their offense was 5th in the league in runs, but their team .464 ERA was only 8th. They were surprised by Kevin Gausman's great season, posting a .362 ERA over 10 starts. Their 29-31 finish continued their march back to 500, and although the team wasn't getting any younger, they were getting better. You could argue, given their trajectory, their 75.5 preseason over-under was too low. Maybe Vegas didn't trust that Kevin Gausman was that good, or Alex Dickerson could repeat his .947 OPS, or Wilmer Flores' .830 OPS, or an aging Brandon Belt's OPS clearing 1,000, or Donovan Solano's .326 batting average. Maybe they figured that Buster Posey wouldn't come back all that strong after taking a year off at age 33. Maybe they didn't see Alex Wood, Anthony DeSclafani, or Jake McGee as big splashy signings. Even though the Giants had been slowly improving every year from 2017 through 2020, they were projected to finish 12 games under 500. Well, they finished 52 games over 500. Absolutely one of the most stunning seasons in baseball history. They started off 15-8, grabbing a share of first place in their division. This was a division with the Dodgers, projected for 102 wins, and the Padres, projected for 94 wins. They were expected to finish 19 games behind the Padres for second place. I should mention, the Diamondbacks were only expected to win 1 fewer game, and the Giants beat them out by 55 games. The Giants were playing in first place, all the way until their home series against the Dodgers on May 21st. A Dodgers sweep dropped them down to 3rd place, but at the end of May, they went to LA and swept the Dodgers back, finishing May in first place, and they were there to stay. They were the first team to 50 wins, hitting that mark with a walk-off win on June 26, with just 26 losses to that point. Despite the fact that they kept on winning, 15-10 in July, 19-9 in August, and 21-6 in September, they could not shake those favorites below them. The Padres were competitive for a while, but the wheels got a bit shaky in July, a little more in August, and by September, the Padres wagon was in pieces. The Dodgers never faded, and even grabbed first place outright for one day, that being on September 1st. After losing first place, the Giants ran off 11 out of 12, and needed another 7-game winning streak at the end of September just to fend off the Dodgers. Both teams were making each other better, pushing them to play their best all the way to the final game of the season, and the Giants crushed the hapless Padres for their 107th win, edging the 106-win Dodgers by a single game. Even if you think 75.5 was a low ball over-under for the Giants, nobody could have ever projected 90 or 100, let alone 107. What went so right for the Giants? First, let's look at team stats. The Giants were 31-17 in one-run games. That's the mark of a team with a good bullpen and clutch hitters. That .646 winning percentage in one-run games was the best in baseball. The only other team that came even close was the Mariners, and that team should also get their own video for the weird season they had. The Giants were almost identical at home as they were on the road, 54-27 versus 53-28. They also rarely got blown out, and that speaks to the pitching staff as a whole. These are games where the difference is 5 or more runs, and they posted an outstanding 35-9 record. You also have to beat the teams you're supposed to beat. They played tight against the good teams, 10-9 against the Dodgers, 11-8 against the Padres, 3-3 against the Braves, 3-4 against the Brewers, and just 2-4 against the Cardinals. But they were 17-2 against the Diamondbacks, 15-4 against the Rockies, 6-1 against the Cubs and the Reds, 5-1 against the Mets, 5-2 against the Nationals, and, well, 3-4 against the Pirates. So that's a thing. The 2021 Giants scored 804 runs, second in the National League, and posted a team ERA of 3.24, also second in the National League. If you're wondering who was ahead of them in both categories, the answer is the Dodgers and the Dodgers. Let's take a look at who played above their heads to bring the Giants all the way up to these heights. Buster Posey opted out of the 2020 season, but in 2019, he wasn't all that impressive. 114 games, 7 homers, 257 average, 688 OPS, and an 83 OPS plus. It was by far his worst full season, and with his age, people were writing him off. But maybe that year off gave him new life. He played in almost the same number of games in 2021, 113, and he hit 18 homers, scored a 304 average, an OPS of 889, and an OPS plus of 140. Those were his best numbers since his MVP year in 2012. Brandon Belt did play in 2020, and he was fantastic. He had never posted an OPS over 900 in his career, and he cleared 1,000 in 2020. He followed that short season with another short season. A knee injury caused him to miss 6 weeks, and the entire month of July. But in just 97 games, he posted a career high in home runs with 29. He also nearly copied his 1015 OPS with 975. At age 34, Brandon Crawford had the best season of his life, posting career highs in home runs, batting average, OPS, and OPS plus. He also played Gold Glove defense and finished 4th in MVP voting. Some other notable offensive stars. Evan Longoria had an 833 OPS, his best since 2016. Lamont Wade Jr. came over in a trade with the Twins, and in his first full season, he had 18 homers and an 808 OPS, earning the nickname Late Night Lamont, referring to his tendency to get clutch hits late in the game. Darren Ruff came to the Giants in 2020 after 3 years in Korea, and he was really good in 100 plate appearances. In a full season, he was even better. 16 homers, 271 average, 904 OPS. The funny thing is, the Giants did all this without a lot of help from their big star over the last 2 years, Mike Yastrzemski. He did have 25 homers, but his 224 average and 768 OPS were by far the lowest of his short career. Other guys on offense were solid, if not spectacular. Wilmer Flores played in 139 games, hitting 18 homers with a 262 average, along with a 782 OPS. Austin Slater played 126 games with 12 homers, a 744 OPS, and 15 stolen bases. And Chris Bryant was good after coming over from the Cubs, playing 51 games, hitting 7 homers, along with a 262 average and 788 OPS. What about that pitching staff? How did these misfits come together to post the second best ERA in the league? We're not talking about a loaded staff, with Buehler, Scherzer, Kershaw, Bauer, Urias, guys like that. This is basically a bunch of journeymen having the best year of their lives, all at once. We mentioned Kevin Gausman's great 2020 season, and he proved that wasn't a fluke in 2021. 33 starts, 192 innings, 227 strikeouts, a 281 ERA and a 145 ERA+, along with a 3.0 FIP, all career bests, and it got him his first All-Star appearance, 6th place in Cy Young voting, and even an MVP vote. Anthony DeSclafani was good for the Reds between 2015 and 2019, posting a 4.01 ERA and a 1.06 ERA+ over that span. 2020 was a disaster, a 7.22 ERA over 7 starts, and he was off to San Francisco. All he did was post a career-best 3.17 ERA, including 2 shutouts, and posted a career-best FIP and WHIP. Alex Wood, it's your turn. Step right up. 2021 wasn't a career year for him. He was very solid for the Braves, and he had some great years with the Dodgers, especially his 2.72 ERA in 2017. But he barely pitched in 2019, only pitched 12 2/3 innings in 2020, so nobody expected him to bounce back like he did. 26 starts, 138 2/3 innings, 152 strikeouts, and a 3.83 ERA. Johnny Cueto even helped out, posting a 4.08 ERA in 21 starts. Jake McGee spent a good year with the Dodgers in 2020, and the Giants brought him in to close games, something he really hadn't done since 2016. He responded by saving 31 out of 36, not striking out a ton of guys, but posting a great whip of .905, along with that .272 ERA. Logan Webb posted an ugly .547 ERA in his first full season, that being the short 2020 season, but he came back with 26 starts and a .303 ERA. He got better as the season went along. From May 11th on, he went 10-0, posting a great .240 ERA once you toss out the rocky April. He was their ace heading into the playoffs. The Giants made heavy use of their bullpen, but they found some very reliable arms. Tyler Rogers led the league with 80 appearances, and he answered the call with a .222 ERA and 13 saves of his own. Harleen Garcia, 68 and 2/3 innings and a .262 ERA. Jose Alvarez, 64 and 2/3 innings and a .237 ERA. And Zach Littell, 61 and 2/3 innings and a .292 ERA. Dominic Leone pitched in 53 and 2/3 innings with just a .151 ERA. Later in the season, the Giants started relying more heavily on rookie Camilo Doval. After some early season appearances, he came back in September and appeared in 15 games, and over 14 and 1/3 innings, he gave up nothing. No runs, and an opponent's batting average of .143. When you talk about a magical season where everything goes right, this was it for the Giants. I made a video about how the Dodgers were snake-bitten this year, and you can consider this video the opposite of that one. Such a mediocre roster on paper, such an elite record at the end. The Giants will face a lot of heat for losing in the NLDS, but they took a 106-win team to a 5th game, tied in the 9th inning. There was no shame in losing that series. The Giants president, Farhan Zaidi, and the GM, Scott Harris, made all these moves, but even they could have never dreamed of this. As Dusty Baker said after his Astros lost 2 out of 3 in San Francisco, whatever this team needed, they got. I don't care if they came up an inch short in the playoffs. These Giants were a team of destiny. Everything clicked at once. Maybe Gabe Kapler was the perfect manager for a veteran team. I know the Giants think so. He was just extended through 2024. Question is, can they do it again, or anything remotely close? Their veterans aren't getting any younger. Buster Posey retired, Kevin Gausman signed with the Blue Jays, and Chris Bryant probably won't re-sign with the Giants. At least it seems that way. We'll see if the 2021 Giants were a one-off, a bizarre aberration that had no rhyme or reason, or if they can keep the magic alive and compete for the NL West in 2022. If you have any thoughts on these 2021 Giants, sound off in the comments below. Is there any other factor that I missed? Something that can explain how such an average roster can win 107 games? Let me know what you think. Before you go, be sure to drop a like, and give me a sub for more content just like this. This is a new channel, and I like to post video essays like this one, as well as videos ranking things up, so if you're interested, I'd love to have you on board. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.